Welcome back to Get Webby with It. Today we're going to teach you how to make the most delicious taco salad dip in the entire world. I'm Sarah and I'm here today with my assistant Sierra, and we're going to get started on our delicious recipe. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start by putting our delicious chili in this. So I'm just going to take a spoon and kind of get up close here so you can really see this. So
yum, that looks great.
Just scoop this entire can in here, and it kind of will look like dog chow. And if you give up on this recipe early, feel free to feed it to your dog. Okay, so there it is. Beautiful. What do you think of this?
I think it looks superb.
Okay, so the next ingredient that we're going to add is going to be our sour cream. So you're going to do a very thin layer of sour cream on top of the chili. This is some fresh sour cream, so I actually have to open it. So you might have to touch it with your hands, and you just don't tell your guests that you touched the food a lot with your hands. I really touched it a lot, so yeah. Yeah, so you don't want to use too much sour cream because you'll end up using your whole thing. So just kind of, you're just going to kind of spread it around. So, Sierra, what is your experience with this?
I think it works great.
So, now I'm going to get to the next step, but first I'm going to wash my hands off. Okay, so our next ingredient is going to be sharp cheddar cheese, or whatever kind of cheese you want. You can even grate your own cheese if you're nerdy like that. So you're going to put a pretty fair size amount on here so that you can cover the whole thing. So it's going to look like that, and this is going to be delicious. Am I right?
Oh, yes. It is going to be amazing. Don't let its appearance fool you. It will be great. Okay. Alright, so next we are going to chop up olives, tomatoes, cilantro, and onions. Alright, now we have tomatoes, olives, cilantro, and onions. We are going to chop these up for the next layers. We'll start with the olives. Now be very careful with this part. We do not want to chop any fingers.
So I'm just going to chop the onions in half or olives in half, because they're really not that big, and it's kind of tasty when you get a little olive half. Now you're gonna actually want a pretty decent amount of sliced olives, so I'll just slice a couple more and then get on to how you should slice your tomatoes. So how should we slice these delicious tomatoes?
I think we should slice them the long way, or that way would work. I don't think it really matters.
So when you're slicing these, you don't want to cut yourself, but it's really important to make sure the tomato doesn't spray out all over the table. So I'm going to cut them in half. So I split them into 4 parts. So I guess I'm quartering the tomatoes, if you will. Because this way you get delicious, just tiny little pieces of tomatoes. So that's how you're going to do the tomatoes. It will take a little bit of time, though.
Alright, now we will put those aside just for a little bit and come back to it. But next we want to show you how to cut up the cilantro. You won't need too much of this.
The cilantro is not really something that you're going to do a whole layer of. It's just kind of something to put along the top. And I am just going to bundle the cilantro and just kind of go crazy and cut that up.
Just be careful if you do it this way, because you never, ever want to cut your fingers. That would involve blood getting in the food.
Which is really unsanitary and can cause a lot of health problems.
And who wants to eat that? I mean, never tell your guests that, if that ever happens. Hopefully it doesn't.
There's a lot you should not tell your guests. So this is not going to be very finely chopped because it's just kind of a little thing to put on the top. But that's about all you need for your cilantro. It's just a little tiny pile.
And next we will move on to the onion.
So we're going to cut the onion right in half. So you won't need the entire onion unless you're a big onion fan. So I'm just going to cut it up like this to begin with.
Depending on how much you make is about how much onion you will need.
And we're making a decent sized salad. And I really like finely chopped onions because I don't like having a giant onion glob in my mouth.
But if you like giant onion globs, then you can leave it like this.
Yeah, then
I mean, those are pretty big
this.
chunks, but hey, some people like different things.
So just keep cutting it however you like it. You know, different people have different preferences. Personally, I would want it more kind of something like this versus something like this, so just cut it however you feel. So that is pretty much how you slice up your ingredients, and now we're going to put them into the salad.
So here we have all our nicely chopped ingredients. Next, we are going to carefully layer them in our bean dip.
Okay, so
Starting with the olives.
I'm going to start out with the olives, and you want to make sure not to just pile them in there. You want to make sure also that you don't have any bugs in your food. Get that out of there. So you're going to carefully just spread it along the salad, as so. Our kitchen has a little bit of a bug infestation because the doors were left open to cool it down in here a little bit.
Because it gets pretty hot around here in the summer.
With our delicious cooking.
Next, we will do the onions.
And
you do that the same as the olives, just nice and sprinkled.
The onions will kind of fill up any places where the olives missed. This is all kind of one layer in a way, so just kind of mix it in there. And next, we'll dump our delicious tomatoes in there. Try and get any place that doesn't have stuff on it so that it looks like a complete layer. And finally, we'll add our delicious cilantro. This is just really just sprinkled on the top, and you may or may not get a bite of it when you take a dip of this. Then I'm just going to kind of round up whatever I have here. And my final ingredient, well, we've already used this, is sour cream. And we're not going to actually put another layer on there. You're just going to scoop it on the top so it looks pretty, kind of.
Very gorgeous.
So I'm just going to kind of take it and make it look better. Don't tell your guests that you touched it with your hands. Most of the time they get pretty grossed out by that. I don't know why. But anyways, this is the delicious summer bean dip chip thing. And so now you can take your delicious thing of chips and have a nice dip.